Hey guys, got probably my favorite review to date to do for you guys today. I been fighting the urge to buy one of these things for a while, but I finally broke down. I had the chance to get one. They're super hard to get right now. It's the Vapor Flask. It's really the highest priced production model DNA40 chip that I know of. I'm sure there's some, handmade, hand-carved wood box mods that cost more, but as far as mass-produced, or maybe not even mass-produced, but at least produced where it's available, the Vapor Flask is really where it's at, guys. It's $300. You can't really just get these things at any store. They're made here in Atlanta. I live in Atlanta. I live about 10 minutes down the road. I've met the owner for this company. He came into our shop about 6 months ago and offered us these to carry them, and actually Vape Parkway is getting ready to start carrying these, I hope. We've reached out to wholesale for Vapor Flask. They're a great company. One of our active members in the group, Preston Kite, he works for them as well. It's a great device. I mean, I absolutely freaking loved my Vapor Shark Dna40, which is 30 watts. The new Dna40 chip is 40 watts, so it gives you an extra 10 watts, but it also gives you temperature control and the option to run it with nickel wire. What are the benefits of running it with nickel wire? Well, I'll tell you this, from the handful of days I've had this and played with it, nickel wire definitely gives off some better flavor here. Really, the people that are going to really like the nickel wire builds are the flavor chasers. It's not for cloud chasing. The thickest wire I've been able to use, realistically, is 28 gauge nickel. Ni200 is the wire you want to use. It also takes Kanthal. I have a Kanthal build on here right now, and I'm using the Odin RDA. Pretty unique little dripper here. I'm going to have to do a review on this guy here soon. But it pairs up well with nickel wire. In fact, there's only maybe 3 or 4 out of my 15 atomizers that I own that will actually work well with the nickel wire. There's a lot of room for error with it. So I could see a lot of people buying the Dna40 and just sticking to Kanthal. I mean, it is a bitch. The first 7, 8 builds I did, I had 0 success without getting a hot leg. It's just a different style of building. I'll get into it quickly and briefly and maybe show you a tip on how to avoid that. But overall, this device is fantastic. The craftsmanship, the quality of the build, the components, just the ergonomics of this thing is flawless. I mean, the way they've designed it to fit your hand is just perfect. It fits the contour of your hand. The button is in a great spot, and the button is by far my favorite button out of any regulated device I own. And I own quite a few just to compare them. I've got the ZNA50, I've got the Cloudport T8, I've got the Sigelli 100 watt, I've got the IPv2 VR edition, I've got the Vapor Shark Dna30, I've got the Vapor Shark Dna40 coming tomorrow or the next day in the mail. So I'm going to have a couple Dna40 devices here soon, and they are my type of device. I'm not really into the wide bore cloud chasing atomizers anymore. I mean, it's fun to take 75 watts and push it through 2 coils and blow out monster vapor, and you do get good flavor when you take in that much vapor, but with a Dna40 you can get that same dense, warm, hot vape without as much wattage. In fact, you know, a lot of people are saying 40 watts isn't enough for me, I can't get that, it's too expensive. But with nickel wire, 40 watts is plenty. It's all about the temperature degree you set the coil to, and I run mine anywhere from between about 450 and 550 degrees depending on the atomizer. My Veritas I really like at 550. My SOV, SOD 5K I really like at 470 to 480. The Odin I actually like at 450. So it's a little different from atomizer to atomizer, but when you have it set appropriately, it feels about 60 watts. The warmth and the denseness of the vapor is real close and comparable to 60 watts, say on the Sigelli or the T8. It is a bitch to dial in, like I said before, and I'm still kind of figuring it out, to be honest with you. But that really has more to do with the DNA40 chip, not so much the Vapor Flask. The Vapor Flask has been solid, rock solid. Love this thing. It's a beautiful, beautiful device. I mean, there is not a single blemish or error on this thing. It's got dual 18650 batteries, so I mean, I have been vaping for about a day and my battery life is still almost full. Now, most of the time I've been vaping on the nickel wire on this device, and the nickel wire is definitely seeming to be more efficient than the Kanthal builds. The Kanthal builds, you're still going to get great battery life with two of these things. My Vapor Shark lasted me 7-8 hours on a full charge of regular vaping, and I work at a shop, so I'm pretty much constantly vaping. This is seeming to be more than double that life when you run it in nickel. Great design, a lot of innovation here, but also a lot of room for error. There's a lot of little things you've got to learn about the DNA40 chip to make this thing work properly with nickel. I can help give you some tips, but one thing we'll start with is you've got to put a cold atomizer on your thing for it to read appropriately. So I'm running it in Kanthal right now. So first thing you want to do if you're switching it from a Kanthal build to a nickel build is you want to come and lock the device. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. Okay, it's locked. Next thing you want to do is you want to press the two buttons. Hold to change temp. And then you want to set it to what we like for that atomizer. I'm going to set it to 500 right here. Okay. And so now we're going to screw on my nickel build. And I'm using the Science of Vaping SOD 5K for this one here, and it really matches up well with the DNA40 chip. It really does. It's a Jenny style dripper. It's real similar to the Veritas in a way, but if you can see and focus in right there, you see some gaps in my coil in between each wrap, and that is intentional. So once you place this atomizer on the chip, you're going to go and it's going to ask you, is it a new coil or is it an old coil? So if you're putting a new coil on there, say going from Kanthal to that, it's not recognizing the resistance. So you want to say new so it can check the resistance. So right now I am reading at a 0.15 ohm nickel build, and that is ideal. They say you want to shoot for 0.15. You can go higher and get a little more cloud action, but really to me the flavor is best at 0.15, 0.16, 0.17, 0.18, around that area. Okay, so once you've got it on, as you hold it down, you will see the temperature adjusting as you press it. And the more you inhale, the harder you inhale, the more you're cooling the coil off with your inhale, the more the temperature changes of the wire. It compensates for your inhale to keep that wire at a smooth 500 degrees. And basically the wattage setting during this mode, the higher you've got the watts, the quicker it brings it to that temperature. I really like it at about 35 watts. I was running in Kanthal before in 38 on a 1 ohm build. I'm going to put it on 35 watts for this nickel build. And the flavor on this thing is just fantastic. I mean, it reminds me of a 24 gauge 10 wrap macro coil at 5.5 volts in warmth and density. So, and that's my speed. Pretty much all my single coil Addies have the same build in them, from the Veritas to the Hobo. 10 wraps, 24 gauge. I love that. It's the perfect flavor to me. And on this coil here, I've got 12 wraps around a 3mm bit with nickel 28 gauge. And like I said, you want to intentionally put a little space in between each wrap on that coil. And the reason why I found that to work best is, and it's possible to do a compressed coil, but you have a lot more room for user error with it. And if even one of those coils is slightly overlapping, you will get a hot leg. So what a lot of people are doing is they're just doing sleeper type coils with a little bit of space in between each one, which works out really well. And You know, you would think since it's not a compressed coil, it wouldn't vape as well or as hard, but it does. It's not an issue. And the flavor with nickel wire is definitely better than the flavor I'm getting with Kanthal. This dripper is all about the flavor. It's not all about the vapor. It's got two little air holes with the air holes going down diagonally that scoop up and scoop the vapor up into your mouth. It's a Jenny style dripper, so it's not going to make a lot of vapor anyways. But I'm kind of gearing more towards the flavor and healthy way of vaping. I just vape so much working up at that shop and when I'm making juice that I feel like I owe it to myself to vape as healthy as I possibly can. And some would even say vaping at 500 degrees is not all that healthy. But it's healthier than running Kanthal, I feel like. Excuse me. Been sick the last couple days. It's actually the first day I could vape and enjoy it. So I figured I'd get the video up. I got this thing at Big Bang e-cigarettes here in Atlanta. Big shout out to Andrew and Preston and Wade for saving one of these things. They literally had 4 or 5 of these things to sell. I got there right as they opened the doors, and within 2 minutes they had sold out of these completely. So that tells you how popular these things are. I mean, they opened at 11 o'clock at night, and they had a line out the door. And most of the people that were there were trying to get these things. It is definitely worth the $300. If you're all about quality over quantity, then this is the device for you. I mean, one thing I love about this is the battery port. You don't see a lot of dual 18650s with battery ports, at least not from the box mods from China that are so popular, like the IPv3 and all that stuff now. But one thing I really like is the battery covers. You use a quarter to everyone's got a coin on them, right? You don't have to have a screwdriver with you. You just need a coin, and you can unscrew them and you know, run it like that. It's a great design. I mean, I love the top of this device. I think it's a slick looking device. It does work with tank systems. It's got a little air groove right here on it, and it's got a spring-loaded 510 pin. So anything you use on here will fit. But like I said before, you want to make sure your nickel builds, when you put them on here, are room temperature and have not been run for a while, so the DNA40 chip can accurately measure the resistance, so it can give you the most satisfying, most accurate vape you can possibly get. This is not going to be for everyone, this DNA40. If you're into cloud chasing, obviously you're not going to like it because you're going to want to do low ohm builds. With Kanthal, this thing is going to shine around the 0.8 to 1.5 ohm range. Really, about 1 ohms is perfect for me on this device for Kanthal. With nickel, like I said, you want to shoot for a 0.15 to 0.20, I think, ideally, for it to run properly. And there is a lot of room for error with this. Another thing I had problems with are post holes. So with some Addies, you stick the wire through the post hole and you screw the screw down on top of it. Well, what a lot of people are doing is, instead of doing that, they're tying the wire around the screw and then tightening the screw down gently, because it gives you a better, more approximate connection to the wire. A lot of times this wire is so thin and brittle. A lot of times you'll close down the screw through the post and it'll just snap the wire in half, or it'll at least cause it to crack and break. It's very brittle, and it's definitely a different style of build. I mean, this kind of looks like the build I was running with Kanthal in here. I mean, it's 12, 13 wraps. I can't remember exactly. I think it's 12 wraps on this one here. I was doing 10 wraps with 24 gauge before, and it was about the same width as this coil. This one's just got a little bit of spacing in between each wrap. And, you know, I really don't notice a whole lot of difference. When I would run that at 32, 33 watts, it'd pump out about 5.5 volts, which is a warm and dense vape for sure. But when I've got it at 500 degrees at a 0.15 ohm coil, it feels really, really similar in warmth and density of the vapor. Let's take a drag. And the flavor, oh my god, I can't even describe to you how nice the flavor is off this combo. The SOV matches really well, like I said, with DNA40 chips, and it's been spending the most time on my Vapor Flask. The Flask, I think you're going to see more stores carrying them in 2015. They're finally branching out, finally getting some more locations. Really, the only places I know to get these guys are through VapeRev, vapinart.com, Big Bang e-cigarettes here in Atlanta, Dixie Vapor here in Atlanta, hopefully soon Vape Parkway in Atlanta where I work. But other than that, I don't really know too many places that actually sell these, and that's even online. They're a small company that's now getting bigger, and all the real vaping enthusiasts know the Flask is the way to go. And I started catching wind of how popular these devices were when I went to Vaporpalooza about 5 months ago here in Atlanta. And I noticed all the vendors were using, from all the shops, were using these Vapor Flasks. And I wanted to get one back then, but they had sold out. They were just so popular, you couldn't get them. And they really don't fluctuate much in price from vendor to vendor. The suggested retail on these guys is $300 to $320 US. So it is pricey, and it does not come with batteries when you buy them. The batteries in these guys, I've used my Samsung 25Rs and my Sony VTC5s in here. Normally with all my other box mods, I get better performance out of the Samsungs for some reason, at least with the SX chip. But I noticed in here, I've been getting better battery life out of my VTC5s. And these battery channels here, they're pretty tight. They don't have much give in them. So some batteries won't even fit in these tubes. I've heard some people have been having trouble getting 25Rs from Samsung to even fit in here. Mine fit okay, they were snug, but I did have some trouble getting them out. I had to kind of pop it a little bit to get them out. The VTC5s went in and out with no problem. But it's great. They give you a braided cord to charge it with, which is nice. There's no firmware updates for the DNA40, so you're not going to be doing anything like that. And they give you a nice black velour, if you will, Vapor Flask bag to carry it in, and it's just big enough with your Addy on it to fit inside there, which I think is a really, really nice touch. Dirt doesn't seem to stick to this bag, so you know when you're out and about or you're in your book bag, you know, just take it and put it in here, and boom, problem solved. You don't have to worry about scratching it up. I could see the finish on this thing being super durable. It is really nice, really solid, no rattle at all anywhere on here. I literally cannot find a single con with this device. Even the Vapor Shark, I found a couple of cons, and probably my second favorite go-to box mod would be the Vapor Shark RDNA30, at least right now. The 40 will probably replace it once I get it on Monday or Tuesday, but right now the reigning champion of devices for me is definitely the Vapor Flask. They just are on another level of quality. I may be slightly biased because I know a guy who works here, and I also live in the city that they're produced. They're produced actually in Marietta, Georgia. The shop I work at's in Marietta, Georgia. I actually work and live in Vinings, which is about 10 minutes down the road. But they're basically side by side, the two cities. So, you know, I like to represent Atlanta and all that, and, you know, my buddy's company. But aside from that, this product is fantastic. The nickel wire is fantastic. And I was pretty much under the assumption that I would probably tinker with the nickel wire for about 2 weeks and then end up back on Kanthal, like I hear a lot of people do. We had a thread going in one of my vape groups that I'm a part of here on Facebook, and I posted, has anyone else given up and gone back to vaping on Kanthal on their DNA40s? And I had shop owner after shop employee commenting, saying they'd given up and gone back. One of them here from the biggest vape chain in Atlanta said he did 7 builds and didn't have any luck with any of them without getting a hot leg. And I can almost guarantee that hot leg came from him putting it through the post hole and tightening the screw down too hard, or not putting some spacing in between each wrap on the coil. Once I did those two things, the thing has been running like a champ. Really, the Odin, the Veritas, and the SOV dripper were the only ones I could get to take the builds properly. Oh, and the Hobo. I got a couple builds to work on the Hobo as well. But really, the two best are probably the SOV and the Veritas, in my opinion. The Odin works really well too, but not as well for flavor. And it is just a huge step in technology from the DNA30. DNA30s, do they still have a place? Yeah, they're still a great product, but the 40 just puts it to shame. I'll have to do some quick close-ups on this guy and let you see what it looks like, and maybe do a quick coil build tutorial just so you can get what I'm saying about spacing it and how you can do it quick and easy. So we'll dive down after I take another pull and take a look at the close-ups. Alright guys, here we are with the close-up of this device. I mean, it is just really nice. It's hard to describe it without actually seeing it in person. One thing I love about this is just the precision. These things screw into the exact same spot. The threading, everything is just perfect on these guys. I love the way that they decided to use quarter slots instead of screwdriver slots. You can get the idea of this thing though. See, it's got the contact up inside there, and it is pretty snug even with a VTC5 in here, but it will fit, and it's just a great device, guys. It's great quality machining craftsmanship. You've got vent holes on the bottom which give it plenty of ventilation and circulation for the thing. I haven't found a single blemish on the device as far as manufacturing goes. This is the newer version, obviously, with the DNA40, so I believe it's a V2. It does not have the serial number on the bottom here in the engraving. It has it on the DNA chip on the screen. You can access the serial number here. But other than just some up and down buttons and the fire button, you really don't have a lot going on here. But something I will show you guys is this nickel wire here. Okay, so it looks a little janky and a little wired up, but the one thing you don't have to worry about with it is it's so easy to straighten this stuff. You can literally just take it and straighten it to perfection, just running it through your fingers. So if you get it kinked up, it's not ruined. You don't have to get another piece of wire or anything like that. And single coil seems to be working best for me on this DNA40 by a long shot. I know you can get dual coils, but for me, single coil is where it's at. So what I've been using is my 3mm bit. I pretty much only stick to that for Kanthal. And the nickel builds, I feel like it has the best surface area and the best flavor. So to do a coil, what I'll do is, and I'll try and get this on camera so you can see it, I'll do a 11 wrap coil like this. It's pretty easy. It's quick. Let's see, we got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Pull it down like that. So that's what you got so far. Doesn't look like much of a coil, but next what I'll do is I'll take it down and I'll bunch it up just like this. Push it up, and basically you have your coil. Now that doesn't look like much of a coil in quality, but that type of coil will work perfect on the Vapor Flask, or the DNA40 chip, I should say. And you can always put it back on and kind of bend the spots that need to be bended more appropriately. Like down here, I see just a little bit of gap I don't want here, and you can kind of just push it together like that. And right there, you have a damn fine DNA40 coil. I haven't been having great luck doing the compressed coils, but this has been putting off great flavor and great vapor, and I just wanted to show you guys a quick 10-second way to make the coil without having problems. And like I said before, you don't want to stick this wire through the post hole and trap it. You want to have your screw up a little bit and tie this lead around the actual screw and then lower the screw down on top of it. So you're not using your posts anymore. So I feel like that's part of the reason why I really like the Veritas and the SOD 5K, because they're Jenny style drippers and they don't really use post holes. They use screws anyway. So that's probably why I like it so much. But anyway, here you have the close-up of this guy. It isn't really a fingerprint magnet, but it is a juice visible magnet. So if you get some juice on this dark black one here, you're definitely going to see it. But it does clean up quick and easy, and it is a high quality product. I love the machining on this, the grain. It definitely has some grain going this way, and it's just hard to see in this lighting. But you can in person. It's definitely got some grain on it, which is really nice touch to the production of this device here. They only had black where I was. I really would have liked the gunmetal. They've got a stainless steel, a gunmetal, which kind of almost has a bluish hue to it, and then the black one. One thing I'll say about this device is charging these batteries through here takes about 4 or 5 hours, and that's if you have a decent wall wart to plug it into. Your computer would not be good to charge this guy at all. It would take fucking forever. But once it's charged, you can go 2 days on average, I would say. I'm still only there, and I started vaping about 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and it's about 2:30 now. So about 24 hours later, pretty much been using this in my Vapor Shark exclusively. So that gives you an idea how much I used it. I've probably taken about 500 pulls off this guy in the last 24 hours. Anyway, we'll dive back up to FaceTime now. And I gotta say, guys, I think a lot of my regulated box mods like the T8 and the Sigelli and the IPv2 are going to get a lot of shelf time now. This really is just such a nicer vape quality. If you're all about high quality vape as opposed to high output vape, if you're into the Doge or the Mutation X or other cloud chasing addies, the DNA40 is not really for you. If you're one of those people that wants the highest quality flavor and healthiest vape, then the DNA40 is what you're looking for, without a doubt. It does have a steep price tag. I think devices with DNA40s start in the $200 range with the Vapor Shark and go up to about $500 depending on which model you're getting. But this is probably the most expensive mass production model, the Vapor Flask. And does it justify the extra $100 over the Vapor Shark? Yeah, I really think it does because of that dual battery and the extra battery life you're getting off of it. I can take this device out, one device up to the vape shop with me, work 10 hours, and still have some battery left when I come home, and that's impressive. And it just produces flavor like no other. There's really nothing like it. You just gotta try it. You may not be sold on the nickel wire builds because I could see a lot of people not liking it, but as far as quality of vape goes, you really just can't beat it. It's a great device. Really don't have a single con to give to you guys other than there's a learning curve with a DNA40 chip. That's not so much a Vapor Flask con as it is a DNA40 con. But I'm sure Evolve will come out with some videos and some tips and some tricks to help us. But to me, this guy really shines, the DNA40 I should say, shines with K-Funs, RTAs, and Jenny-style drippers. The Odin is even somewhat of a Jenny-style dripper. The Veritas, a Jenny-style dripper. The SOD5K, a Jenny-style dripper. So if you really like what I like and those type of restrictive draw flavor addies, the DNA40 is a must, at least to try. It might not be for everyone in the end, but for flavor chasers like myself, it is a must-have product, and it definitely will be used and loved and cherished till the end of its time, which hopefully will be many, many years down the road. The V1 of these flasks did not have the removable batteries. You had to send it in to Vapor Flask and have good old Charlie remove the batteries and replace them for you. And I guess they would do that with these hexome screws up here. You do not want to remove these because it will void your warranty. The Vapor Flask does have a warranty. I haven't even looked at it yet. We'll do that right now. Limited warranty on it is 180 days from the point of purchase. This device is milled from aluminum and anodized It is intended to have a durable finish that does not show fingerprints. Blemishes that naturally occur from the milling and machining process are a part of the character of this device and are not defects. And that was what I was talking about with the graining process. It's definitely not blemishes. It's just, it's kind of like grain of a tree circle or tree wood. And that's part of what it gives it its beauty. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Got any questions, ask. Otherwise, have a good one.